How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on, man?
A little bit of everything, you know.
I see. I
In
see.
good ways, though. In good ways. So that's a
Well,
blessing.
well, congratulations on your, I guess, cover article coming out today that you wrote for D Magazine.
Yeah. Well, the best part about it is I wrote it for. So I'm from Dallas, and D was my first job out of college, right? Well, not from Dallas. I'm from Abilene. I went to college in Dallas. I got to
Yeah.
be honest. You got to be honest. But anyway, so it was kind of a homecoming because I get to write for D, which is the first magazine I ever wrote for, and then I get to feature my friends. So that's the
Yeah.
best part about it. It's Sean Brown, who is a VP legal at Kimberly Clark,
Hmm.
and um, Krista Sanford Brown, who's at Baker Botts, and Cheryl Alston, who works for the city, controlling basically the employee fund. And they are the first Black women in three really important positions. Cheryl now heads up the um, Dallas Assembly, which is basically the Dallas leadership group. They choose, the next generation of leaders. So the head of that is now a Black woman. Sean is head over the Texas Women's Foundation, and they give away $5 million a year to
Oh, wow.
women causes.
Yeah.
And then Krista is the president-elect of the Junior League, which
Yeah.
is a big, big deal because anyone from the South knows that the Junior League was very much always a bastion of white womanhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And so she's the president-elect in the Dallas Junior League of Dallas's 100-year anniversary, and they put her on the cover of DCEO.
I know that was I was glad you sent me that this morning as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So let's get back to you. So
Oh, sorry. Yeah. But that was a good day. So.
yeah. So for the audience who don't know who you are and what you do, please tell them.
Absolutely. My name is Sherri Daye Scott. I'm an Atlanta-based writer and producer. I trained as a journalist, as I just gushed on about. But I'm a filmmaker. I've worked in advertising and marketing for many, many years, did some big campaigns. I used to run a website for AT&T called The Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably
Yeah.
one of my favorite gigs.
Yeah.
Got to highlight a lot of my friends, Blacks in tech, entrepreneurs, artists. So that's kind of, if you ask what I do, I like to say I attract and share blessings.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the bridge, my artist Keith Jacobs, I think he might
Yes.
still be in here, but yeah, he was featured on there. And then I just saw you posted about Arisha, and I know
Yes.
she has a lot to
Yeah.
do with that too, and her
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
And then you and I connected through Ricardo, a great friend of both of ours. Uh,
Absolutely.
Season of the Witches project
Yeah.
that we're figuring out right now.
We are figuring out right now. COVID has changed a lot of things. Yes, we actually need to catch up because I have some thoughts on some pivoting. That's
Okay.
the interesting thing. Hanging out in the tech space, you learn to pivot a lot. So still,
Oh,
still the story, still the idea of, so Season of the Witches, as is a thriller set in Puerto Rico where three American women are volunteering after the earthquakes and a hurricane and end up accidentally killing, killing the local playboy, and decide because they're good people here to help,
yeah.
they're going to cover it up. So shooting in Puerto Rico in the time of COVID is a little different. So again, we're pivoting, but the idea of this women never get a chance to kind of live a big, big life and make big, big mistakes will remain.
Yeah. And I also wanted to touch on. I just saw that. Or did you get named to a board or something? Maybe it was an old article or something like that. And you were featured in it. I gotta figure out exactly. I'm gonna send you that maybe offline because I'm like, she always got something going. And I
People
was
ask me to do, so I am on a board of here. Well, it may be an old article, but I am on a board of a group here in Atlanta called Comprehensive Community Care. And what they do, which is pretty awesome, is that, women who want to leave the life, here in Atlanta, there's only 9 beds available. So if you're somebody who is a sex worker who decides that she wants to move on, right? There's only 9
yeah.
beds in the whole city of Atlanta where you can kind of
Oh,
take a
wow.
breath and figure out what you need to do. So my
Yeah.
friends have an RV basically, and they go down to Fulton Industrial, which I'm sure is kind of like Harry Hines there in Dallas. And
Mm-hmm.
they provide resources. They help women get social security cards, figure out driver's license. If they have court cases, they'll go with them. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I am on that board.
Okay, yeah. So, because what I tried to do was I tried to read your articles, but also like I know you personally,
Yeah.
but I still want to kind of like look up a few additional things. Like, oh, okay, she did that. Oh, okay, she
My
did
life
that.
is so random. It is completely random. So yeah, who knows what you saw?
Yeah. And I love the everybody eats. That's a big one,
Yes.
for me. And I know that's the name of your company and things like that.
Right.
And another thing that I wanted to kind of focus on a theme for you as well as kind of the theme of your article was that women are making strides, women of color, and of course need to make more. And I feel like that's something that you really stand for and push forward, but without being so pushy to where men don't feel comfortable in the space as well,
I consider that a compliment, because a good friend of mine, the actor Karan Riley, I was talking to him about a campaign, a PSA campaign that I'm doing, but he was saying that, liberation of our people true liberation of people cannot happen unless everyone is liberated, right? Unless everyone has freedom. And so I found that when you put it into those terms for thinking men, right? For men who do really take a moment to think and are strategic and understand, that makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That you can't be holding me down and then
Right.
me to be lifting,
Yeah.
And I also believe that, to each his own. And I've seen many couples who work with really traditional roles, and that's great, and there's also couples who don't. But
Yeah.
again, I think when I've talked to people in those terms, it's like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just saying, if I'm smart and I'm talented and I'm connected and I have the passion, why would I not use the blessings that God gave me, outside of my home?
Right. And the other thing that I wanted to make sure that we touched on is I'm glad that you're doing a bit more of self promotion. You
I
try
knew
not
you were going to bring this up. I knew you were going to bring this up. Okay.
you try not to promote yourself and what you're doing, but like you're getting better. So
I
I
am getting
definitely
better. I am getting better. That is so funny. I was like, I bet Dessie's going to say, because I haven't posted any pictures of myself lately on my Instagram, and I was like, Dessie's going to be like, you're not even trying. I'm the quiet, I'm the G lasagna,
yeah, but I'm like you do so much and people recognize you and know you, but you don't just connect it all the time.
True.
It's just over here, and it's
True.
like wait, she wrote in D. Okay, oh, the producer of this. Oh, she was at Sundance. You know what I mean? Like, it's just connected
You're
all
right.
together. Like,
You're right.
tell the
You're right.
story.
No, you're right, because then I get offended. I'm like, why don't they know who I am?
Exactly.
You see my resume? And they're like, no, we haven't actually, Sherri. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. So talk about some of the, I guess, what you can talk about. I know there's things that you can't talk about, but talk about, some of the things that you're working on that you can kind of speak on right now.
Sure. So as I said, working on pivoting Season of the Witches into just to make it work, right?
Yeah.
And then I am working with some friends from Texas on a lit journal, a literary journal. We want to do it on a quarterly basis. Called Barbara Ann, and it's a for progressive women. So it's named after Barbara Jordan and Ann Richards. So
Okay.
progressive women from Texas. So one is my line sister from SMU, who's based out of Houston, Dr. Ronnie Buren. She was the one who did the Texas textbooks. Remember that when they said we came here as workers?
Yes.
Right. So she was the one who fixed that. So it's her, a good friend of ours who is an English teacher, Annette Martinez, and then another friend of ours who I love very dearly, who's out in LA, Jen Wong, this is the best. So she grew up in Spring, Texas, I think it is. Her dad taught at PV. right?
Okay.
And she grew up and went, I want to say maybe it was Yale or Harvard, but but
So just from
but when we
that.
but when we get together, it's Texans, like, and so we decided because of that, we really wanted to do some journal that kind of talked about that. Like, even living here in Atlanta, I rep Texas I'm annoying, I
Yeah.
annoyingly rep Texas. So that's in the works. It's been, trying to be creative and productive during COVID. So working on that.
Yeah.
Um, I have some new story ideas.
Okay.
I've been spending a lot of time researching Atlanta's history, and I've got a couple of ideas that I want to
Hmm.
work on from that. Um, I still write for other publications quite a bit. So I have a piece coming out in UU World, which is the Unitarian Church. It sounds sketchy, but it's not. They're actually really lovely hippie people who just want everyone to get along,
Okay.
which is true. Uh, but on their response to Black Lives Matter and what various congregations are doing. And let me tell you, their congregations are serious and strategic, like putting their money where their mouth is, giving courses. And, I think a lot of churches could take a lesson from them, including ours, including in the Black community, about what
Yeah.
it means to organize. So working on that piece. And I enjoy that kind of stuff. It keeps me
Yeah.
grounded.
Yeah, and it's funny when you talk about the organization and things like that. Like I've been ever since COVID and the protests and police brutality and everything happened. I've been watching so many documentaries but a lot on organization and like how the Black Panthers organized
Right.
and how the Nation of Islam organized. And of course, people don't always hold them in the highest regard, but it's like when it comes to organization and actually making things happen, like even seeing how the Black Panthers had a feeding program, and
Absolutely. That's what
that
made them
like
dangerous. The organization is what made them dangerous, right?
yes, and
Not
I feel
dangerous, but I mean, it's my conspiracy
yeah,
theory. But made them, that's why they were targeted by the FBI, all those things, is because once they saw this ability of communities to organize, Cesar Chavez, like all of that, right?
yeah.
A lot of the gains that we take for granted were because of people organizing at the grassroots level. It didn't happen at the legislative level until there was pressure from the grassroots level.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a level that we're kind of missing now because even when something as simple as, okay, on this Tuesday, we're not going to post anything on social media, but there really wasn't any organization as far as what we should be posting, why we should or shouldn't be posting. Like, it was just like, okay, put up a hashtag, post this, and that's it. And it's like, okay, but that's not really doing anything.
That's how I
Like,
felt about Juneteenth. I'm like, well, great. Yes, you should honor Juneteenth, but people are still dying and like this. That didn't make everything magically go away because now people have Juneteenth
mhm,
off.
right, yeah, but it's just that it's that action part that we're kind of missing, and I've been trying to make sure that I can spread, more, whether that's talking about making sure that we're voting,
Right?
and kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
and more information so that way that we can properly, that we can be informed and know what's kind of going on.
right. Um, you know, so you asked what I was doing. What I've really been focused on since mid-April is this grassroots COVID prevention campaign that I launched here in Atlanta with my friends. I'm
Uh-huh.
smiling because it's a beautiful thing in talking about organization and talking about, you know, there's a, Du Bois talked about a talented tenth, and there it is upon us who have resources and privilege and access to put back in our community. So I gathered about 10 of my friends who are artists. We put up signs throughout Southwest Atlanta. I'm sure everyone saw the numbers saying that 83% of deaths in Georgia were Black folks, and Fulton
Mhm.
County, which is Atlanta, the numbers were really, really high, like ridiculously high. And
Yeah.
right now, Black people are still accounting for 50% of deaths here in Georgia. So we put up signage, just telling people like, where you got to wear a mask, you have to use sanitizer. And I know y'all are just now getting it, so listen
Yeah.
to people, wear masks, use sanitizer. It's okay to be out, but stay away from people. But so we put up signs, we've covered up murals with masks. We have a website. It's bigfactsmallacts.org. That's got tips and resources. You know, it's us speaking to us, right?
Right.
If you go to the CDC page, even my eyes, and I'm someone who just glaze
Yes.
over. Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to be doing in real terms, right? Because I am going to go to work. I have to go to work. So, you know, so that's been fun because again, it's a way to be creative and give back to the community, and in these relatively dark times, be reminded that I have a lot of really good people around me who are willing to step up when it's time.
Yeah. So, so for people that want to connect with you or find out, you know, more about things that you're working on, I know you just mentioned the .org on that. What
Right.
was it? What's that one?
That's bigfactsmallacts.org. And then on IG, it's bigfactsmallactsatl. And
Okay.
anything you need from there, you can find me that. And then for my production and writing work, it's everybodyeatsmediaproductions.com or just
Okay.
Everybody Eats Media. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You know, I have been wanting to get you on since I first started, so
Yeah.
I'm glad you agreed. I really didn't think you were going to agree, to be honest with you,
Why?
but because you have so much going on. So
Yeah. I love your show, and I love the idea of it. And I've told you this before, but you are a constant inspiration to me because one, you always have a positive attitude. You're always looking for what you can do next, right? And everything you do is with integrity. So when people talk about you, you know, there's respect on your name. So
I appreciate that.
please, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and yeah, and so let's definitely connect offline about everything that's going on, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and I hope you have a great day and a great weekend.
You too. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Sounds